sometimes there are things that are happening within our community that's worth a real dialogue. And there's something that I observed in multiple conversations that I think is worth giving my take on. Let's take a look.
And after a while, it just becomes a routine. It's like, it's like you see, I see my mom, I love you. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like we take the love for granted, what I'm trying to say. So people, 100 people tell you that they love you, it doesn't have the same response than the one person that comes up to the street and says, I hate you, and spits on you or something like that. Like, you're going to remember, because if somebody comes up to you and says that they hate you, you're going to remember that. You're going to think about how you can get back at that person. It's going to bother you. Or at least me, that's how
That was a little moment of honesty. I spoke on this in a previous video about InvestFest, but there's something I want to string together, right? And just listening to this, something he said, there was a little moment of honesty. He just said that if somebody said something to him negatively, he may want to get back at them. So that's a spirit. That's actually a demonic spirit. That's a spirit that of revenge and retaliation. But he also went on to say that he recognizes it and it's something that he has to work on.
I think it's going to bother me the whole entire day. But more energy should be focused on 100 people that actually told you that they love you. So for me, I learned negativity is always going to be there, and it's new levels, new devils. And negativity is one thing.
Can I add something? Not to cut you wisdom. Is there any part of you that contended with what people were saying now? Because sometimes as brothers, and this was really hard for me, right? Because I'm reading all of these books. I'm reading everything. I think I'm smart. Like I want to be this. But did you contend with what people were saying? Did you, in a moment where you go, yeah, I get it, like more levels, more devils and all of that stuff, but did you sit with what it was that you said and why people took it the way that they did? Did you learn anything from the faux pas?
Yeah, I learned because...
Now, I like Van. I've seen him multiple times over the years, and he does come with a balanced conversation and a thought-provoking conversation. He really didn't have a rightful place when he was at TMZ. TMZ's like a news station, but what he's doing now with having the conversations and really, piercing people's perspective, I do like how he approaches things.
To be honest, look, every black person is not your brother. Every black woman is not your sister. There's like people say like, oh, this is a devil. There's white devils, there's black devils. There are black people that are actually devils that are meant to cause mischief and to divide and conquer. Divide and conquer don't always come from a white man. Divide and conquer can come from a black man as well. So it's important to understand that your tribe is your tribe, right? The mistake is to generalize. That's out of frustration. But we have to, that's important for people to understand. Because it didn't just come, the frustration don't just come out of nowhere. The frustration come as we built a platform that has never been built before. For 8 years, and we highlight 450 entrepreneurs, and we put 400 vendors in the marketplace every single year, and we put people on stage in Europe, in London, and we put people on stage in front of 30,000 people, and we've given opportunities, and we've doing community givebacks, and we've made people millions of dollars just from free information, and we got people out of debt, and we save people's lives, and we got people coming home. This is just the facts.
Okay, now he's running out his resume. I want you guys to understand. There are a couple things here. When you are the one that's carving the road, if you have if you understand like people buying property and there's no land, no roads, no homes, no one's out there, right? People typically wait for the first person to make the road, and then they're all going to benefit from it, right? But when you're the first person making the road, you can rally to get people to help you pave that road, to get access to your property, or not. You can do it yourself. But a lot of times when you're doing things yourself, or even with a small group of people, there's risk, because the ones who are not involved, now they're spectating. Well, why did you cut the road that way? It's stupid. That's a longer way. What about the other way? Why didn't you go straight up? Why didn't you go straight across? There's a lot of things that people would say. And because they're not part of the project, they don't understand the headaches that person has cutting the road, and the nuances it takes to cut the road, where they may have found some environmental hazards or some things under the terrain that made it very difficult. Now they got to go zigzag, or the grade of the hills, or that kind of stuff. And you sit back and you often can have criticism. You can often have your point of view from a spectator, but you're really not in it. And what happens is the people that's in it and the person that may be doing it, I'm speaking heavily from first person, but I'm also going to try to give a balanced approach at this. But that person feels the gravity of trying to get it done, And when someone can just sit back idly and just criticize and sometimes make it a big deal, that stings. And he's speaking from a place of being stung.
We got a book club in federal penitentiary. Like, this is a fact. I know our impact. That's people saying like, yo, like people be like, yo, how could you say this about black people? But what have you done for black people? Like I said, like my words is one thing. What the actions is another thing. My actions the actions speak for themselves. Everybody commentating on this, you've actually done nothing. And they be like, yo, what have you done for the city of Atlanta? In 3 days, we have more of an economic impact than the people that's talking had in their whole entire life in the city of Atlanta. So I already know what we did for the city of Atlanta. So it's frustrating when critique is one thing, criticism is another thing. When you making up lies and purposely trying to sink somebody's ship, that's only has done, what have we done? What have we done except for help people learn about finances? That make you, at a certain point, if you're going through this shit for 7 years, you be like, fuck it, I don't fuck it. And that's what I said, even InvestFest. If they want to take InvestFest, then take it. We don't make no money from InvestFest anyway. So way more people make money from InvestFest than us. It helps the economy of Atlanta. It helps the vendors. It helps the speakers. It helps the janitorial staff. It helps. So if you hate Cain, you gotta remember Cain killed his brother Abel out of jealousy. So God didn't accept his offering, so he killed his brother out of jealousy.
This guy is just kind of setting it up. If you don't understand, he's one of the founders of InvestFest, an event that takes place in Atlanta about investing in business and entrepreneurship. And he also has a platform, Earn Your Leisure, and they speak on and do a lot of stuff for the past several years. There's some people that cast him as a grifter or not an official person from the background he came to, the point he got to. None of that really matters. I think that once you're doing the work and you're doing the impact, it does say something. But this is beyond black community stuff and beyond race stuff. This is human stuff, because Jesus went through the same thing. Martin Luther King went through the same thing. Anyone that's trying to do something different go through the same thing, from Noah in the Bible to the Wright brothers to Henry Ford. The things that they have to do, to Walt Disney, buying swampland. It's just that people attack the people that are actually making the move. And I have a saying that the people who said it can't be done should not interrupt the people that's doing it. And that's where he's coming from. But he's stung, and that's really what I want to assess and get us to kind of think about in this conversation.
He didn't kill his brother because he had a valid reason to kill him. He killed his own brother out of jealousy. So that story still carries true to this day. They'd rather sink the whole ship. Fuck it. They'd rather crash the economy for the people of that weekend and the party promoters and the Uber drivers. They'd rather say fuck all of y'all because they hate us so much. That type of shit will make you mad, especially if you put up your own money. You never got outside funding. You never got major corporations. You never crowdfunded. You never took outside capital. You put your own money in. We play the game on a real level. InvestFest, $5 million to put on. Where did $5 million come from? Us. Yo, imagine this is real shit. 10 years ago, I had a couple $1,000s to my name. We putting up $5 million. We could do a lot more things with $5 million than throw an event. We putting up $5 million to throw an event, and people say, oh, it's a scam. How? Who we scam?
Are you familiar with a Greek philosopher called Antisthenes?
No.
It is a kingly thing to do good and be ill spoken of, is what he says. Translation is, a king's burden is to do good and be spoken ill of. Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, I hear the passion in your voice, but I'm gonna do something with love here. Well, what I'm gonna do with love is I'm gonna ask you, because I know still raw this thing you've created, to kind of step out of yourself a little bit, because I'll tell you why. The people that come to InvestFest and get something out of InvestFest, like myself, like a lot of people, the people that come to it don't validate InvestFest. Okay, the people that go to InvestFest or anything and then leave and not having a great situation don't validate InvestFest. The reason why you guys do it validates it. If you're doing something for black people to move out of their situation and to ascend, that's the only validation that actually matters. But sometimes being in community with people is dealing with, it's not all roses and flowers. Mm-hmm. It's not all, hey, I did this for you, everybody love me. It's not all of that. There's going to be times when there are disagreements, there are going to be bad faith actors, there are going to be all of this type of stuff. It's up to us and our makeup as men and as men who want to have great things and do great things to not kind of turn snide or be pointed at the people that we're trying to help because something doesn't go in the way that we want it to go. Because like, as you describe everything that you've done for people, it almost sounds like you think that they owe you something.
No, what I'm saying.
Now, I'll let you guys watch the rest of this clip. You can go find it. But that was a word, right? That you really have to put a lot of that stuff to the side. Because when the people start to attack, you got to remind yourself why you were doing it. And especially when he said it in the beginning, Rashad said it in the beginning, 100 people can tell you thank you and a few people tell you they hate you, and you hang on to those people who said they hate you. And you give growth to what your energy pursues. So if your energy is going towards the people that are negative and you forget about all the great you've done, you're going to wind up in a situation where you become maybe bitter and angry and resentful. And I spoke about that, about the traumas and the grief of entrepreneurs and CEOs that go through stuff like this in the personal space, because you go through stuff and you're trying to cope and understand why you should continue moving forward. But I got a couple other clips that I do want us to take a look at as well. I want you guys to listen to this lady. This is Killer Mike's podcast. He has Tezlyn on here. She's new to the Atlanta scene, and I've been seeing her and Killer Mike having some exchanges lately. And Tezlyn, familiar with her from the Breakfast Club, but I also want you to hear a take that she has on this as well.
To speak to the audience. And so for me,
and that's what we
my
disagree.
advocating for you.
Yes, but I'm glad you do that.
But you know,
yes, I know why you do it.
Yeah.
The difference is, though, because this is a calling for me and not a career, because this is not when people saying, well, I understand as a businessman, I understand. See, that's the difference. See, my business is about black people.
Yes.
My business about black people doesn't have anything to do with profit. It doesn't have anything to do with sharing a stage.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with talking to folks that we may be on two different pages. See, my business, my calling, is not about investing. It's about divesting from the things that do not align with my purpose and my calling. So I take these moments to teach people that this is not about let's all get together. See, again, I go by what the word said. When the word said, put the blood on the door. So that when I come through and it's time when Pharaoh did not listen, when pride was before the fall, put the blood on the door so I can know who is with me and who is not. See, I think it is critically dangerous for people to put a mask on to pretend to be something that they're not. And I know, even though I'm a cousin bootleg pastor, see, I know that it was meant for me to hear this before I left this. Before I left
Yeah,
this
you called me this one, like,
yeah, so that we could deal with this. Because even though you tried to say, well, let's reconcile, let's all get together, it wasn't 24 hours. Your response said, there got to be AI. It's no way.
Yeah, it wasn't my response.
That they said that I'm sick of, you know what, black people? What's the point? You're going to tear me down anyway. I'm done with it. See, this is what we were just talking about, Mike, when we were talking about whether it was Ice Cube frustrated or other rappers or whatever. Get frustrated and move out the way. See, I want you out the way. I don't
Hold on, we don't want.
See, okay, so now we have another take, right? So her mindset is, listen, people are going to be that way. Don't be in your feelings. Get out of the way. Now, I don't know what your take on it, and I'd love to hear from you guys as well. What should you do? Because when you have that first big moment, and Tezlyn seems to be someone who's experienced with it, right? Because in the beginning, like those guys from Earn Your Leisure may be fresh to the criticism, but when it happens, it is very easy to tell someone, just get up and move on. But a lot of times when we tell people that, especially in a professional setting, they're not allowed the space to grieve and process what they're going through properly. And it is just not a very easy space to be in the public eye. And in the public eye, when you're doing the work for the least of these, I'm sorry, it's not always black people, but there's a large population of black people, depending on the type of work that you're doing. If you're doing economic, social development, justice, civil rights, typically are the black people that's the least of these. If you're dealing with immigration issues, typically Hispanics are the least of these. If you're dealing with some athletic program or sports, it's white people that's the least of these. So it really just depends on where your work is. But if you're doing things that are helping the least of these, it'll come with a lot of criticism. Now, I want to pivot to something else that's another person said in a video, and this will really bring home my point of this entire thing.
Said something to me, I'll let you phrase it how you want. Tell the people what you told me, and then let's talk a little bit about why you said what you said.
Sure. I don't remember verbatim, but basically I said what you're doing is helping mom and pop businesses, in our communities. Mom and pop businesses are important, but if you're really trying to empower people in our community, that only occurs when you create jobs of scale. And what do I mean by that? If there's a manufacturing facility, a service company, somebody that's going to hire 50, 100, multiples of hundreds of people in our neighborhoods. Because other than that, it's a paycheck for the entrepreneur and maybe one or two employees. And a lot of times those employees are minimum wage employees with little to no upward mobility in that organization. So on one hand, that's a good thing. But if you're really trying to have impact in the community, there's no way you'll be able to do that. And so the key is being able to figure out how you can either attract companies to that neighborhood or help people who are legitimately thinking in terms of scale. So if you're looking at people who are real estate developers, let's say aside from yourself, who are looking to build 10, 20 homes, they can also put an emphasis on using minority contractors. So you create this ripple effect. When I had my Taco Bell business, I made a deliberate conscious effort effort to hire vendors, outside of my national distributor in utilities. If it was landscaping, I had a minority landscaper. And I know, because I use them forever and still use them on my home, I put his kids through college. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, it's all about how big can you make it? And our community has suffered from small thinking. Yeah. Why? Risk averse, not willing to take a chance. Debt is bad. Well, if you over leverage, yes, debt is very bad, because it's not a question of will things ever go wrong. It's a question of when.
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you something. So this is really a conversation that is important. We have tons of leaders in our community that are hurt, broken, and in disagreement. You have one on one hand saying, maximize your skills, don't even focus on the people that are not going to give you the greatest impact. Go after what gives you the greatest impact and you will see the greatest change. Then you have some that's saying, listen, I am doing this, but if these people are going to turn against me or be against me, I'm abandoning the cause and I'm abandoning ship, or I'm going to be upset over it. And then you have someone else's perspective is, it doesn't matter. You got to get in there in the weeds, deal with those at the bottom of the barrel. And no matter if they bite you, kick you, fight you, fuss you, lie on you, gossip about you, your skin should be thick enough to keep on trying to help those people. That is a lot to unpack within our community, within the people that are trying to be leaders and CEOs and business owners, that we're just not all on the same page. And that is something that I feel is definitely missing in our community. Now, we all don't need to be on the same page, but there has to be a degree of organization or something that's methodical to really take whatever your cause is to the next level. And if you're out there and you're trying to do that kind of work, don't just do it to the detriment of yourself, to the detriment of your mind. You need to make sure that you're doing the work in a fashion that makes sure that you have impact while you're also preserving your own mental health and your physical health, because it all translates and is interconnected. So I just wanted to just bring these 3 clips up. I mean, there are times that things are happening out there. You may see, you may bypass it, but these 3 I saw in a short space of time, one behind the other. And I said, just this thing that's swirling around, I'm constantly trying to help people, and what you can experience and the backlash that you can feel, and just you really need to make sure you pay attention to your own traumas being caused as you're moving forward. The final guy, I think his name was Shawn Taylor. He's of the mindset of really just protect yourself and have the biggest impact possible. And you need to make sure you know where you get in, where you fit in, so that you can make sure that you preserve yourself and preserve the lengthiness of your legacy. All right. So I'll see you next time when we have another moment to sit down and chat.